We find ourselves at a critical intersection of international law, diplomacy, and political theatre. And Boris Johnson, in the Mail today, ever the political showman, has launched a ferocious criticism of Keir Starmer's stance about the judgment of the International Criminal Court and its arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant. Johnson has painted Starmer as a hypocrite, oscillating between pro-Israel rhetoric and alleged capitulation to pro-Palestinian sentiment that he's practically a Hamas supporter within his party. But beneath Johnson's rhetorical flourish lies a complex web of global tension, legal obligations, moral ambiguity. And the ICC's warrant against Netanyahu and Gallant, citing crimes in Gaza, has ignited controversy. The allegations, starvation as a method of warfare and crimes against humanity, are grave and I think reasonable. Yet the context of Israel's prolonged conflict with Hamas adds layers of complexity. And Johnson's defense of Israel hinges on its democratic status, arguing that Israeli leaders are subject to a robust domestic legal system, and he frames the ICC's actions as unnecessary, morally offensive, equating them as treating Israel's leaders akin to war criminals like Slobodan Milosevic. The Republican Senator Lindsey Graham's comments underscore the stakes. Graham's warning of economic sanctions against ICC member states aiding Netanyahu's arrest reflects the United States' staunch support for Israel. This puts Starmer in a precarious position, balancing the UK's legal obligations as an ICC member with the risk of economic and diplomatic fallout from the United States, a critical ally. There are parallels, of course. Putin and Putin's spokespeople have said that should Putin be arrested, he is also wanted on an ICC warrant. That would be a declaration of war by whichever country did so. Johnson accuses Starmer of betrayal of Israel, democracy, and of his own principles. He portrays Starmer's support for the ICC warrant as a cynical attempt to placate factions within the Labour Party, and Johnson juxtaposes Starmer's impassioned common speech after the October the 7th massacre with his government's hypothetical willingness to enforce the ICC warrant, framing this as a moral equivocation between Hamas and Israel. I think Johnson here is wrong because the situation has changed between October the 7th. Of course we condemn the October the 7th massacre, but I cannot think of anybody who would support the aggressive collective punishment of Gaza for the abhorrent behaviour of Hamas. Because that's what it boils down to. The ICC's role, the court was designed to address cases where domestic legal systems fail. Is its involvement in Israel's actions therefore a breach of its mandate, given Israel's democratic and judicial structures still intact? Starmer's position risks alienating both the United States and Israel, jeopardising the UK's strategic and diplomatic partnerships. And Johnson's critique also serves as a broader attack on Labour, portraying Starmer's government as inconsistent, unprincipled, and susceptible to internal party pressures. Well, you have to judge for yourself. Boris Johnson's criticism of Keir Starmer is without doubt theatrical, but it raises essential questions about the intersection of international law and diplomacy. Is the ICC overreaching itself in targeting Israel, or indeed in targeting Putin? Or is the UK duty-bound to uphold the principles of international justice even at great political and economic cost? Is it appropriate for the ICC to issue warrants of international leaders while conflict is still in progress? My hunch is that it's provocative and it's little more than a rhetorical stand, a little bit of political air-bashing, because you can't enforce it. And those countries that do try and enforce it are going to damage themselves. Starmer's handling of this issue could define his government's credibility on the global stage. What if there's an international meeting in a country which is not part of the ICC, and Starmer finds himself cheek by jowl with Benjamin Netanyahu? Is he going to do a citizen's arrest there and then? This is absurd. This is absurd. Johnson, of course, ever the opportunist, will undoubtedly capitalise on any missteps to bolster his own political narrative. Starmer finds himself in a very tricky position, legally, morally, and politically. I would love to know your thoughts on this.